trying to be hype for Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, even with all the pricing garbage, but dude, shit just keeps going from bad to worse. Like, it's actually insane. So, I talked about the whole stink with the prices related to the Switch 2. The console's $450, the games are ranging between $70 to $80 across the board. DK in some Switch 2 edition games for the former, Mario Kart World and the other Switch 2 games for the latter. Third parties are looking to be case-by-case basis, they're all over the place, but that was a whole thing. Everyone was not happy. And for us here in the US, it's about to be a lot worse. Like, way worse, unless something happens. So, comment whatever you want. I'm not trying to make politics a big thing on this channel at all, at least not major when it comes to this video in particular. I'm trying to be more open and understanding of them. Politics affects everyone all the time, no matter who's trying to ignore it. I had a political job last fall. That's not what I want a channel called Super Mario T to be. It makes no sense. I don't want to get into all the grifting BS too, like some vocal minorities are trying to do after the other day. There's more to life in politics, but politics are still important to keep track of, but so Trump and his administration, they're putting down tariffs for various imported goods. Tariffs are these taxes the government puts on imported goods. Foreign countries and companies trying to sell goods and products overseas, them shipping them out, they have to pay an extra tax, right? Okay, they want to place tariffs on more goods. Hours after the direct, they were rolling them out on multiple countries. Trump claims a tariff on 10% of all nations and higher rates for individual countries of up to 50% will boost the US economy and protect jobs. Nintendo just stated they have delayed indefinitely pre-orders from the Switch 2 that was going to be on April 9th in order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions. They'll update later regarding pre-order timing, and the launch date of June 5th for the Switch 2 is unchanged. Nintendo's been manufacturing the Switch 2s in China and Vietnam, and both countries were hit with 34% and 46% tariff increases respectively, and Polygon is predicting a 50% increase, which, wow, dude, of course, something like this would happen. Of course, man. Now here's the funny thing, it's not really all that funny, but that whole mess happened with the pricing for Switch 2. The console's price, semi-reasonable, still a little steeper than most expected. Nothing super crazy or non-negotiable to pass up, but like most understand with how the Switch 2 is 10 times more powerful than the Switch 1. It at least made solid sense. Still a little steep for some, but it was at least on some level reasonable. It was somewhat reasonable. The games themselves, significantly less so. I don't know if you noticed the whole Switch 2 edition games prices thing, but that actually is a case-by-case basis with its pricing. Some games like Mario Odyssey, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and others, they're getting free upgrades to their performance in just patch notes. Others like Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition are going to be $70 if the upgrades are still largely performance with like some extra small thing. Tears of the Kingdom was the only $70 Switch title, now its Switch 2 edition, because of that, is $80. But also the Switch 2 editions of Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Super Mario Party Jamboree, where they're basically getting extra DLC, are $80. Mario Kart World is also $80. That was the problem. Very steep prices. Nobody expected Nintendo to be the first major players bumping their games up to $80 when people were barely used to the $70 price tag on every other platform from every other publisher. That was already a very slippery slope as is. Nintendo was always the cheapest option all around. Now that's being contradicted when the games are that high of a price. Buying 3 to 4 games on this thing, or comparing the price with just Switch 2 as a whole, you might as well just get the Steam Deck or one of the other base consoles from Sony and Microsoft for cheaper. $70 was assumed to be the standard going forward for the big first-party games. Now Nintendo's going higher all across the board. That was bad. It's still a bad move. And now every other company is literally just going to copy Nintendo and do the same exact thing when those companies were trying to justify $70. It was always a slippery slope that was just not something you want to play with your audience over and tease them when gaming's an expensive hobby already. It's just going to set a really bad precedent for the whole space going forward. The chats on this Treehouse presentations, they were just walls of drop the price. Drop the price. Constant spam from everyone in those chat boxes, both on YouTube and Twitch. Clearly nobody, both most hardcore Nintendo fans and casual gaming enjoyers outside of Nintendo, did not want this. Everyone, even plenty of the hardest of core Nintendo diehards, some still trying to justify it regardless. You'll get that with every fandom, but the majority reaction and response has been bad. The choice is still bad, even now. But everyone thought it was because of the tariffs. That was the excuse a lot of people had. I figured it played a part. On some level, it has to have. Maybe Nintendo was planning in advance for a 10 to 25% tariff increase. For all we know, it sounds realistic, but we don't know the specifics. And tariffs have always been a thing that have taken place in many countries, including the US, over and over, but the tariffs did not go into effect until after the Direct, after Nintendo gave us those prices. Again, still no specifics, but it's basically confirmed Nintendo was always going to price the Switch 2 at $450, and their first parties at $70 to $80 no matter what was going to happen. I said it in that video, even if we give Nintendo the benefit of the doubt and assume they were anticipating lower tariffs, I do think Nintendo was just being greedier than people want to believe. That was higher than even Sony and Microsoft's prices for their games, than every third party, with all of their rotten, disgusting practices and snakes behind their doors. Nintendo's asking for more money for collectively their system and games than everyone else, because of the games more than anything. But the other thing about that too, is back in 2019, Nintendo moved producing their systems from China over to Vietnam because of the tariff wars back then. And now, they're stuck dealing with even greater tariffs. Vietnam's are now 46% as of the time of the rollout. It might as well be 50. They're in a lose-lose situation even if they somehow lower the prices anywhere, which is not happening. Unless, maybe, the tariffs might get removed. Even if so, unbelievably close to impossible chance. Now, the Switch 2 will very likely be priced in the US around $675? Damn near $700 for a Nintendo system. There's a bundle with the system and Mario Kart World. You're practically forced to get the bundle, even though it's also just straight digital. That's gonna be $750. Both of these are pretty much the same price as PS5 Pro. The highest end console in the space right now, pretty much. And that's gonna be $1,050 over. Oh my god. $1,000 for a gaming console. And now Switch 2 games from the first parties, especially, they're gonna cost anywhere from $105 to $120 if these tariffs stick. Us Americans are gonna be stuck paying more than $100 for these games, twice the amount the standard of game prices. For more than a decade, until a few years ago, the standard prices for Nintendo's games for more than that since the Wii. On Nintendo's end, it was kinda bad. We were like kind of okay. At least the games were still really good across the board. There was nothing really bad about any of the games they showed off. Now, Trump and his administration just made it worse for all gamers everywhere, US included, and the vast majority of people in many spaces beyond gaming. Oh, we got a price change. We got the price change, just not the one we wanted. Now it's even more. Oh my god, holy actual monkey paw the size of Texas. And the previous price puff was a monkey's paw. Maybe we shouldn't have gotten Donkey Kong this soon. I don't know, man. But even then, like, Nintendo and the Switch 2 is the focus here. Take a wild guess to what content I cover. But it's not just Nintendo affected by these tariffs. It's all kinds of groceries, gas, imported goods of pretty much every kind being hit with various tariffs of varying price increase ranges. It's just bad for everyone all around. That was the entire point for why we were all up in arms about it to begin with. I'm not trying to dive too deep into the political weeds here, but I will say, at the very least, don't you dare rope me in with those who voted for him. Plenty of people are trying to say, well, you voted for him. We all voted for him. You asked us. We? Nigga, who is we? Not me. Nope. Not me. I did not vote for him. Put two and two together. I never wanted this. I never voted for him. I never asked for this. Do not rope me in with those people who voted for him. I never asked for this. And even still, the small crowd of dudes just plucking the cheapest gotcha argument, missing the point of why. This is just ass, dude. I won't go any super deeper than what I'm about to say, wrapping up the politics with the next couple minutes, but historically, time and time again, we have seen tariffs make inflation a lot worse. It's happened so many times already. It's claimed the tariffs are put in place now to boost our economy and protect jobs, increase interest in production of American goods. Except not just do we not have all the resources other countries have to make the same types of goods, resources, and products, and on the same level of quality, even if the quantity demand for American-made goods increases, basic macroeconomics have shown that the prices are going to skyrocket too. And we've already been seeing these prices on all kinds of goods, homemade and imported, skyrocket anyways. It's majorly disappointing now. And what's insane to me is random niggas will just pretend, just say you're broke and get that bag. Tell me you don't work a job without saying you don't work a job. I'm sorry, what is wrong with you? These same people would say that if eggs, milk, and bread costed $100 next year. Oh, just get that bag. You're telling me that's not a problem? If games costed $300, nobody wants to pay more money. Our income, jobs, and financial pay is not going up. It's staying the same. Do you know how many times I hear near daily how hard it is to buy a house, to buy lettuce and dairy products now? The value of our dollar is getting lower and lower. Everything's going up while our dollar value is getting lower. And pay near universally everywhere is stagnating. Inflation means jack shit because of that. We are the ones getting screwed over. Chances of a recession are pretty high after this. I'll be shocked if there's no kind of backlash or protest when these higher prices hit and they become more common. Like, there are people who can afford all these goods, or dialing back to gaming in general, or the Switch 2 or its games. There's gonna be some people who can afford it. They'll work extra, they'll be able to budget. Cool. We might have to work 80-hour work weeks just to get by. Awesome. What sane, normal person wants to spend more money on any of this kind of stuff? No one. Why are there dumbass dudes making fun of the people saying both are bad decisions that are gonna screw us over? The tariffs especially. Dude, the economy and most businesses put us in that boat to begin with. Depression and suicide rates skyrocketing from so many factors out in the world. That is one of them. Those rates peaked again back in 2022. Start saying only the whiners I'm seeing are broke people, Lamau. Anyway, these prices are outrageous. Have us in the first half or something, man. Don't just pretend to be blind and ignorant to what's going on. There's a difference between just blind, willful ignorance, being aware to what's going on, talking about it, and having an open mind. These tariffs are going to be a huge stinker for everyone, everywhere. We could sit here and excuse politicians, companies, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, other publishers, other corporations and companies in entertainment, business, the food industry, politics, the animation and art industry, etc., etc. We can adjust for inflation all we want. We could keep trying to make excuses for why these companies want more money out of you. But while now not the main problem anymore since these tariffs are here, still a problem though, some of these people don't realize every instance this happens, they're making the same mistake over and over. Before these tariffs, right? Before Tears of the Kingdom was even priced, every Nintendo fan, they just assumed all of their titles will stay at $60, not copying their competition. Cartridge production's more expensive. The Switch is still underpowered, yet Sony, Microsoft, EA, Bethesda, Activision, Ubisoft, etc., they were throwing out games after 15 years or so being around $60, the standard full price. Now they're throwing them out with the price increment increased by $70. People assumed Nintendo wasn't going to follow suit. Now Tears of the Kingdom, $70. But it won't be for every first party or most. It'll be an occasional case-by-case basis type thing, as they told us themselves, with the premier platinum first-party games that sell consoles. Those will likely be at $70 now. Now borderline every first party on Switch 2 is not just $70, some are even $80. You have to factor now the Switch 2 audience who didn't get Switch 1. They missed out on the Switch 1 games. If they missed out on Switch, now they're screwed. They gotta pay like $80 now for Switch 1 games with small enhancements. Their competition and most other publishers don't even sell almost all of their games for that high. Oh, but it's just gonna be Mario Kart though. It won't be for any other original title to be priced at $80. And it's because of the tariffs too. Whether both Nintendo factored for the tariffs, anticipated a lower percent than what we got, or because of cartridge production, the buff and hardware or whatever. It's not gonna be as bad. Dude, we have literally made this exact same mistake now for the third time in a row the last 2 years. It's goalpost moving. It is moving the goalpost. You don't know whether or not Nintendo's gonna make these cheaper without the tariffs. With the tariffs, maybe. That likely is a safe assumption, because they're delaying the pre-order specifically because of the tariffs. And I doubt even Nintendo would try to justify their system being $700, the same as the PS5 Pro, in their most popular market, and their games being over $100 as well. They're probably gonna adjust for the price. Hell, maybe if we're lucky and actually see the Switch 2 being priced down hard enough to where the tariffs total it back down to $450 or even lower. Maybe the prices of Switch 2 games more specifically for the tariffs for sure. And we do see Mario Kart and other games be priced down hard and equal from the tariffs, $60 or less. The backlash from the initial decision on top of these tariffs could give us some companies trying to respond and work around it. On some level, they have to. There's no way the Switch 2 will be able to sell well after these tariffs. The US is their biggest market for pretty much all the foreign companies. $700 for Switch 2 and over $100 for its games, that's not feasible at all. That's way less feasible to sell compared to what the initial price for the console and the games are. And we'll see this ripple across other companies and products, and now they're gonna have to adjust just to sell. We'll see some not budge. They'll see it as just more profits, but that's the thing. It's very likely every company just won't budge just to break even or the allotted amount of money they want back. We have to assume so because time and time again, every single publisher and corporation has stomped over their consumers' expectations and made many decisions across all of them against the consumer's best interest and even against the best possible profits. On top of that, another big reason is even if they repeal the tariffs. Another issue, one of the big things that this whole thing started with the Switch 2 prices and the games, why it's so bad, because we're seeing these games go up and up, even if the tariffs go away, they are not going back down. Because it's so normalized now, and these companies still sell these products for higher prices, which is horrible. This goes for every type of good, every single price increment, not just the games themselves. The games are the main focus. No matter how bad it's gotten, they just never went back down, despite the dollar value itself has been massively decreased. Jobs and businesses are paying their employees at the exact same level, sometimes even lower rates of pay for longer work and longer hours. We can't give them that benefit of the doubt now because they have to shell out even more money just to sell their products overseas because of the tariffs. And we have to pay them more because of those tariffs just so they can make their money back. It's not feasible unless the tariffs are rescinded, and it'll take either a recession or large backlash to do so probably. Every time there's some price increase by these corporations, it's a net negative to those same corporations and businesses, but especially us, the consumer. We could either have the budget to afford these things or struggle or second guess making the purchase, but literally, we just want affordable goods for everyone, and now that's going to be even harder. We're all literally on the same side. Nobody wanted prices of these games to go up. Nobody wanted overall imported and homemade goods to be more expensive. And nobody except the government wants more dollars out of our piggy banks into theirs, being forced to make up for the higher taxes other countries have to pay now. It's horrible. Genuinely horrible. Alright, don't really have a whole lot more to expand on after yesterday's video. Points the same. Now it's ascended to a new actual policy our government made. It sucks, dude. It just sucks so much worse now because of the tariffs. Let me know your opinions in the comments. Bro, I could barely even imagine the next Smash game being $80. The next 3D Mario or 3D Zelda, $80. Don't even get me started on Pokemon. Don't even get me started on dual release Pokemon games being $80. Now all those games over $100. $200 for just one version of... Ooh. Hopefully they don't go... Even if the tariffs weren't this high or a major factor because Mario Kart and some of these other games are $80, those were going to be $80 too. Let's not kid ourselves anymore. But still, let's genuinely pray both these tariffs go away and Nintendo does respond to the backlash and lower the prices. We gotta hope the whole business makes this stuff affordable again, and the economy has even a chance of rebuilding itself, because I don't think this will be the solution. Personally speaking, they have to adjust. I mean, they literally are delaying the pre-orders, they moved countries producing their systems because of tariffs, so hoping it'll at least go back to $450 for the system, $80 for the games. But I also hope it's gonna be at max $70 for some of these other games. Still don't think Switch 2 games, no matter how banger Mario Kart World looks, that should not be $80. I don't think it should be that high. I already had this whole discussion before. Yeah, unfortunate. Hype for Donkey Kong and Mario Kart still, but Lord, something's gotta happen, man. We can't keep losing like this, man. So thank you for watching. Stay super.
Yo, hey, 妹妹，嘿，我来呀！共和到哈哈呀，拉面。 来面，排根面，共府再见呀！哈哈，拉面，烫手面，谢谢。